Hey guys, NoxFindex back here after quite a while of not posting any videos, but that will be explained in a video later on. This one is going to be about The Locker, a zombies map idea I had, and I just want to thank some people from the Play the Game forum, just before we start. Blackhole115, Shank or Shiv, and the A. There were a lot of other people helping out on this, but I thought these guys were the main helpers on it. And thank you to those guys, and we're going to get right into it. Welcome to The Locker. So that's going to be the main quote of the map. It originally started off as a joke between Blackhole115 and I, but now it actually sounds pretty solid, so that's going to be the quote of the map. To start off the video, we have a poster right here. It was made by me. We actually have 3 posters. The second one that will be shown is by the A, and the final one will be Shank or Shiv's. I really like this poster because it shows kind of what the map is going to be, a ship sinking, and I think the black and white adds a really good effect to it. I just call it Poster 1, Poster 2, and Poster 3. You can check all that out on the forum. The second one we have is by the A. I like this one because it just looks really cool with the purple effect, and I like the font because, you know, it's the same font I used. I kind of like the boat kind of faded in the background. And finally we have the one by Shank or Shiv. I like this one a lot because it just looks pretty professional and it just is a great poster all around. The only problem I have with it is the fact that it doesn't look too worn or post-apocalyptic. The yellow kind of makes it seem bright and happy, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I'm pretty sure the city at the bottom is supposed to be kind of like Rapture from BioShock. And if you don't know what Rapture is, you can look up a video on it. And I really think Rapture is cool and it's a great concept. So we're going to get on to the main bulk of what The Locker is. In this map, you start off on an abandoned ship in the middle of the ocean. When you spawn, the ship had just stopped and the anchor drops. Then you hear a smash like glass breaking. In the spawn room is the infamous Olympia and M14, as well as Quick Revive, and the power switch. I know that it's pretty odd to find it in the first room, but I'll explain everything about that later. You can buy a few doors, and you buy the first door to get out of the spawn room, and eventually you reach the main deck of the ship. It does seem like a very tiny map, and there are a few more guns on the walls, including the RH-70 Remington, the PDW-57, and the AN-94. But that's about it. There are no other perks, and you keep holding off because that's just what you do. When you reach round 10, there is a loud sound, and then the ship sinks. Is this the end? Of course it's not the end. You continue sinking, struggling for breath until you're red screened. The closer you get to the bottom, a giant, and I mean a giant underwater base comes into view. You fall into a big room that was already smashed in by your anchor. Funny how it sounded like glass breaking. And inside you find diver suits. How convenient. You put them on. It's your choice, but you'll drown if you don't. These are obviously like the PES mask from Moon. Next up is the boss, Davy Jones. Of course it's not actually Davy Jones, but I think it's a great comparison and it helps the name because of Davy Jones Locker. I think The Locker is a great name for it because it kind of bounces off each other. He has a lot more health than the Warden boss from Mob of the Dead, but nowhere near the amount that George Romero had from Call of the Dead. This will make the boss not too hard to kill, so it doesn't completely ruin the game, but it doesn't make it too easy to kill so that you can easily take him out and you don't have to worry about anything. I want this boss to actually affect the game and make it more difficult to play and make it more interesting to play. At this point in the game, you can buy perks. Why was the power switch in the spawn room? Because Juggernog is in one of the rooms. It's randomized, branching out of the area that you dropped into. This allows the map to be ready for play, as well as a fun chance to do a no power challenge. Also, it adds a bit of confusing element, which I believe would be interesting. With Jug not being available until round 10, it makes so the map actually takes some skill to play, unlike Buried/Resolution 1295, which you can easily get Jug without even using the bank, and you can get it on round 1. The wonder weapon, this is the idea from Shank or Shiv, which I actually do like the idea. It's called the Triton. It fires an explosive bolt, and on impact it explodes with air compression and gives you a bubble of air where you can maneuver easier and breathe inside of when you're going through water-drowned areas. This will be able to stop Davy in his tracks, making it a breeze and killing him. The trade-off is that if you're not careful, it could break a window and flood the room, completing what he set out to do in the first place. Pack-a-Punch is called the Kraken and deals a normal increased damage and some other effects that we haven't thought of yet. As for the perk, we don't have anything confirmed for it, but we do have a few ideas. But none of them have been absolutely amazing, so to speak. Two of the better ideas are increased stamina in an underwater area and being able to repair the flooded areas. What I mean when I say being able to repair the flooded areas is when the areas are broken, and if you're right next to the hole, it will become slightly lethal. But the perk will allow you to be near it without even being hurt, thus letting you repair the broken section with whatever we think up to patch it. Some name for the perk ideas include Iron Boot Brandy and Man O' War Serum. A little while ago I posted a perk update on it, and I started designing some of the perk logos that I came up with. I only spent an hour on it, an hour and a half, so it's not the greatest, but I thought it would be nice to show some concepts. The following I have is Iron Boot Brandy. I would have designed Man O' War Serum, but I have no idea what Black Hole 115 will want it to look like. Black Hole 115 had the idea for Man O' War Serum. Any feedback in the comments on the post or just on the website would be great. What you're seeing right now is Iron Boot Brandy. It has some boots, which I just Google imaged iron boots, and I had to outline it all. I also used stroke on Photoshop, which made it a bit easier. It says Iron Boot Brandy. I got those fonts off of defont.com. They actually have some awesome fonts on there. Now we have some concept art for the spawn room, and then I have another piece of art for the ship. I know it's not the greatest quality because it was taken on a tablet and just drawn on paper, some notebook paper, and I don't have a scanner available, which is kind of a problem. So you're inside the control room of the ship, and the top section is the main control panel. On the left you have Quick Revive, and on the far left are some barriers. There are 2 barriers on each side, left and right, far left, far right. On the right you have the power switch, and in between that is the main control panel, which may have something to do with the Easter egg, so watch out for that. And above that is just a view onto the deck in the out at sea, so you can just see what the map looks like. On the bottom section of the drawing is where the wall guns are and the door to exit, which is just behind where you're standing if you were looking at the main control panel. On the left you have the Olympia. On the right you have a door that costs $750 to get out onto the ship. And in between those two is the M14. And you can read some of my notes at the top of the bottom of the page, but it's probably way too blurry. I couldn't even make it out when I looked at it. So finally this is the final part of the post, we have the main ship, which is pictured right now. At the bottom section we have somewhere that you can't go yet. This could be part of the Easter egg. Labeled above that is the spawn, as well as the location of the door you exited. To the left of that is some stairs. When you get down those, to your right is a barrier, and northeast of that is a storage crate, which you can get into for set 1250, which could be a good spot to hold out until round 10. And then you could buy the other side for another 1250 to connect both sides, which could mean an escape route if you're stuck on there. This leads to the other side of the deck, as I said. Straight in front of the base of the stairs on the left is the Remington, and if you head to the other steps, you'll find a barrier, which costs $1,000 to buy. When you get to the base of those stairs, to your left is another barrier, and the exit of the storage crate is northwest. Directly in front of you is debris that you can't buy, as well as another barrier. Walk up to where you're standing directly in front of the immovable debris, and to your left side is another barrier, as well as the AN-94. There's also a path. Walk through there, and when you are facing the corner, to your left is a PDW-57, and at your right side is another barrier. This kind of balances it out, so there's no real camping spots except for the storage crate, so it will still take skill to survive. But I added the storage crate so it wasn't too difficult. This is all just a concept, so it is subject to change, and that's basically just me trying to say leave your thoughts in the comments or on the comments of the post. I do consider everything, and I read every comment. So if you could give me your thoughts on this, give me your suggestions on this, it would be great. And I'll see you next video.